Suffering, whether physical or emotional, is part of the human condition. Sometimes emotional wounds are harder to heal than physical ones. But sometimes physical pain and emotional suffering can coexist, and those are the most serious cases. In the Bible, there is a very clear example of suffering that arises inexplicably according to human logic. But at the same time, it offers us a series of guidelines to face those states of intense sorrow. This is the case of Job. Job appears in the Bible as a suffering man, wounded by illness, loneliness, and misunderstanding, who desperately seeks an answer from God. He suffers from a strange skin disease, probably pemphigus, or wildfire, which has him feverish with his entire body blistered. His wounds ooze and he experiences terrible torment. His skin dries out and peels away, and he feels an unbearable burning in his bones. Still, what tormented him the most was that the Lord did not answer him. Job also struggled to accept that everything was part of some divine plan. In this shadowy world, we face trials and tribulations that can break our hearts and tear our souls. Pain is an undeniable reality of life. Sometimes we encounter heartbreaking circumstances that seem to push us to the limit of what is bearable. Sadness can flood our hearts, and hopelessness may seem like the only companion on our journey. But let us remember that even the heroes of faith faced struggles and anguish. In the midst of our pain, we can shake God with our deepest emotions and longings. Job's suffering was so terrible that he exclaims in Job 7 verses 6 to 11, "My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and I have lost all hope. My anguish and bitterness are so great that I must give voice to my complaint." The book of Job narrates the drama of human pain and suffering, without limits and temporal boundaries. Human beings ask ourselves in our afflictions, why do we have to suffer? Why does God allow suffering? Wouldn't it be better if he had closed the doors of the womb? In Job 3 verse 11, he exclaims, "Why did I not die in the womb or at the moment of birth?" However, in the midst of his pain, Job never denied his faith and his trust in God. Amidst the tears, he found space for hope. On the path of suffering, we often face what is known as the dark night of the soul. It is a time of deep spiritual dryness and desolation, where we feel disconnected from God and helpless in our affliction. But in those moments we must remember the words of the Apostle Paul II from Corinthians 1:4. He comforts us in all our tribulations, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any distress, with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. Even when we feel that we are in the darkest of nights, God walks beside us. Man is not condemned to death, but is made for life, even though at times existence may become hostile and everything seems inexplicable. When you fail in all our earthly illusions, direct your gaze towards the future, waiting for God to be in control. I know that my Redeemer lives and that at the end he will rise from the dust. I know that I will see God even when the grave destroys my body. I myself will be the one to see him. I will see it with my own eyes, even when I am fainting inside. The experience of Job is shared by anyone who has full assurance that God is with them, comforting and strengthening them as they go through pain and suffering. God is always by the side of those who suffer and assists the sick in the bed of affliction. Pain is not the opposite of happiness. One can be happy even in suffering, understanding that God is with us and has not abandoned us. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Matthew 5 verse 4. What is our way of responding or reacting to suffering and pain? Even in the midst of pain, there is a hope that shines like a beacon in the storm. Hope is not the denial of pain, but the promise that in eternity we will find relief and comfort in the presence of God. It is true, however, that the shadows of affliction can cloud our vision. Let us never forget that the light of hope shines in our hearts. Through our own challenges, God empowers us to be a comfort to others. Let us look towards the eternal glory that awaits us, where every tear will be wiped away and we will find rest in the loving arms of our Lord. On this journey, we are not alone, for God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Let us trust in His promise that in Him we find the strength to face pain and the hope that transcends all circumstances. May this truth resonate in our hearts and guide every step of our way. Emotional suffering is like an internal storm that can shake the foundations of our life. It can leave us feeling disoriented, exhausted, and sometimes hopeless. Here are 4 ways to face emotional suffering, remembering that God is present at every step. Accept and express what you feel. Often, we try to be strong and keep our emotions under control. But recognizing and expressing what we truly feel is the first step to healing. It's like opening the windows after a storm to let in fresh air and sunlight. Seeking support from others. We are not made to face life alone. Seeking support from friends, family, or professionals is like finding a safe refuge in the midst of the rain. God often works through the walls of the people around us to provide us with comfort and guidance. Taking care of your body. Exercise, good nutrition, and adequate rest may seem trivial, but they are essential. Taking care of our body is like repairing a house damaged by the storm, ensuring that it can withstand the upcoming rains. Maintaining faith and hope. Faith in God is a beacon in the darkness, a source of strength and hope when everything else seems lost. In each of these steps, God is present, not as a distant spectator, but as a close companion who walks with us. He understands our pain and offers us His love and peace, even when the path seems uncertain. With every step we take towards healing, we can be sure that God is there, holding us, guiding us towards a future full of hope and renewal. When the response to suffering leads us to complain and to curse or blaspheme against God, the result will be a life of bitterness and unhappiness, of resentment and intense pain. When the response to our suffering brings us closer to God, the result will be a character of life. Transformed character, a strengthened and confident heart, even if we do not understand everything. We will continue to trust in our God. I invite you to run into the arms of that eternal God who knows us, who loves us, and who is by your side in the midst of your pain and suffering. Very soon God will put an end to pain and suffering, and sadness and sorrow will disappear. Death will no longer exist. He has a better destiny for you while that day comes. Have the full assurance that He is with you in the midst of affliction.